Lena Sith Lady. Dear Chris, love your channel. It actually makes me feel a bit more sane. I was wondering if you could describe a weekly staff meeting to us. I have heard from several former staff members how those meetings were a lot like weird AA meetings with strange winds and a lot of clapping for LRH. I am interested in the topics and the interaction during those meetings. Did you feel like you had to pretend to be enthusiastic or engaging, even if the winds seemed a bit too crazy? All right, well, there's a policy letter in Scientology called Weekly Staff Meetings that provided a step-by-step format of how staff meetings are supposed to be run. And so I'll just kind of walk through those steps. Staff meetings were usually really boring and just kind of long, dragged out, exercises that nobody was really particularly very enthusiastic about. And if there, and yes, sometimes there were wins and announcements made and things like that, and people would ha ha, rah rah. But it was all just part of the mindset. I mean, it wasn't like, there were, if you look at it now, I can look back on it and go, ooh, cringeworthy. But at the time, it was just the normal course of my life. I mean, being a staff member and being a Sea Org member, you buy into all of Scientology. And so when people are sharing wins or gains of Scientology successes, that's what you expect to be hearing. So it doesn't seem so outlandish, unless they got into some of those rather goofy videos that you see. We all kind of snickered at, or a lot of us snickered at those videos because they were just so over the top, and we weren't really into that too much. But the videos I'm talking about where the music is playing and they're, fast bang, 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 bang through all these Scientologists talking about their wins. Oh my God, win, 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 great, success, ah! Okay, so as far as the staff meetings go, the first step is flaps and handlings. So here, this is all on a weekly basis. So for the last week, division by division or area by area, staff would discuss various problems or flaps that had happened, right? Some big emergency or situation that had occurred, and what their handling was for that situation. So let's say that there was some big plumbing leak and, a whole floor had been flooded or something. And so the estates guys might need to brief on that flap. Yeah, there was a flap this week because, there was a plumbing blow up and people got kicked out of their dorms while we had to clean it all up. And the handling is then blah, 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 to not only did we clean up the mess and deal with all that, but we reinforced the pipes and got new ones installed and racks, so we're never going to have a leak again. And that might be an example of a flap and a handling. And there could be I could go on all day of the different kinds of flaps that come up, and the various handlings that were demanded of the staff, to deal with those flaps. And that was always the most awkward, uncomfortable part of the staff meeting. It was the first part where you just kind of get all that out of the way and air it out and and people get to talk about how they screwed up royally that week. And and there was definitely shaming going on during this. This is a public shaming exercise for sure. It's not supposed to be. It was, supposed to be the flap and the handling, right? So, yeah, we had this big emergency or problem, but we handled the hell out of it and dealt with it. And of course, if you're in the middle of the flap or the flap happened and you didn't have any handling, then it just became a big exercise in public shaming, right? Because it was like, yeah, we crashed the income this week, and it's been crashed for the last 6 weeks, and yeah, we're gonna do this and this and this and this handling, and everybody kind of goes, yeah, great, whatever. So you can imagine the fun and games that ensue from that. The next step was general business announcements, and this was obviously different from flaps. This would be things like, we're having an event this week, or this last week we had a general business announcement. Might be something like we renovated the HGC, the auditing areas, all the auditing rooms, and that's all done now. And so, the org has much better auditing spaces. Or we hired, 3 new guys this week as a general business announcement, and they'll stand them up, and it's Joe and Mary and Sue, and yay, we got 3 new staff, right? That might be a general business announcement. Then you have the presentation of statistics and battle plans for the week. And what that means is you have the department heads, not in a small org, you might have every single staff member talk, but generally it's supposed to be the department heads and the division heads, and then the senior executives of the organization. And that's, believe me, that's a lot. If you have all those posts filled, you're going to be there for, a couple hours going over all the stats and BPs. But they're supposed to present an actual piece of paper with their production statistic, whether it was up or down, and then give the condition. In other words, what are they going to do about that statistic? If it was up, how are they going to reinforce it? If it was down or level, then how are they going to get it up, right? That's what the battle plan, the step-by-step targets that they're going to do that week in order to deal with their production statistics. So this is all kind of summarized. I mean, people didn't get into long sermons during these things, but they sometimes droned on for a while, and so you'd and you'd have to go through the entire organization and get everybody's, at least, like I said, the division heads, department heads, their statistics, so you see how everybody in the organization did that week production-wise, and what they were planning to do in the next week, right? And so it could be an informative thing if it wasn't so bloody tedious. Okay, then you have, let's see, then after all the stats and BPs was whether there was any bonus paid out for the week, and then the executives might brief on the overall battle plan and direction that the org was going for this new week that was now starting. And that would generally be and then of course there'd be a hand for L. Ron Hubbard. Everybody claps as for Hubbard at the end, and that's generally how it would go. And it would usually go sometimes for a couple hours. So like I said, tedium would set in, right? Everybody was like very happy when the staff meetings were over. Yeah, and sometimes they could get pretty ugly. Some of those flaps and handlings could get pretty ugly. Sometimes when people were presenting their statistics, and the statistics were pretty down and had been down, for a while, things could get pretty ugly because the executives would, start like, well, what's your battle plan for this week? Oh, well, we're going to do da-da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah? Well, what about blah, 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 and they might start, again, the public shaming ritual. So that's the kind of thing that would happen there, and I think that's a pretty thorough answer for all that.